Hi, Jess. Good to see you. Hi, Dr. Farrell.
Hello.
Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. How's January treating you so far, Dr. Farrell?
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
That's good to hear.
Yes, everything is going well. And I'm thanking God for life, health, and strength, and to be able to get around and be active in the community. Yes,
Thank you for sharing and thank you for joining this evening.
yes. I did receive a call, and I was in a meeting with some attorneys discussing some things that they want to do for the community here in Stockton.
Exciting. Well, welcome. I'm seeing a few other CSC members. So just saying hi to Doug and Mary Elizabeth. Thank you for joining.
Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm glad everyone came on board safe, recognizing fellow member and everybody. I'm thankful for being coming through, you know what I mean, alive and well, Eddie. And like I said, can't complain. Thanks everyone for coming. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. Hi, Ned. Welcome. Welcome, folks. Good to see you. I just want to flag, there's been a couple requests for AI notes that have come through, and just given that the CSC have discussed kind of ground rules around some of that stuff, those requests have been denied, but just want to assure you that this meeting is recorded and action items are carefully documented throughout the meeting. And the chat and all of that is accessible to you after this meeting as well. So there are many ways to be up to date with the contents of today's meeting. I'm going to give folks a couple more minutes, but welcome to all of those of you who are joining, and we'll get started right at 5.
Gabby, what was that request that folks were making? I didn't catch those letters. What did those letters mean?
Yeah, it's I believe it's an application called Read AI, which just basically records meetings, and it takes notes and sometimes screenshots throughout the meeting. And so maybe, yeah, it's something for the CSC to discuss in the future if that's something you want to allow. It seems to be a pretty handy tool for some folks, but I think the goal is really to capture sort of what's being talked about in the meetings. But like I said, we capture action items and the meeting is recorded and the chat is shared and all of that. So I didn't allow it given that the CSC haven't discussed.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Mary Elizabeth. All right, well, I want to be respectful of everybody's time, and I know some folks will still trickle in, but I believe, most of this should be familiar to you all, what we'll talk about kind of at the beginning of this meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of get us started. So just want to say good evening and Happy New Year to all of you. Welcome to your 48th CSC meeting. And yeah, the first meeting of 2024. So just want to thank you all for your ongoing presence and your dedication to participating in this process and to supporting your community. As you all know, my name is Gabby and I am a co-facilitator of today's meeting this evening, and I'm joined here by my colleague Laura, who is also a co-facilitator, and you will also notice our colleague Dr. Amy Ramos, who will be supporting with sort of behind the scenes logistics for today's call. We're looking forward to facilitating this meeting and documenting action items from today's call and just participating in this session with you all today. As you all may have seen in the agenda, the bulk of our meeting is really focused on SERP implementation and particularly around outreach opportunities for some measures. I think there's 3 measures that we'll be discussing today. And just want to remind you all that these measures and all of the agenda items for today's call have been selected by you through a strategic planning exercise that we engaged in November of 2023. And so that's what you see reflected in today's agenda. And that's also what you'll see reflected in future meeting agendas for the next couple of months. So just want to remind you of sort of the input points and opportunities you've had so far for today's meeting. And the Air District has also kind of notified folks of any changes that have happened to the agenda between now and December. So please look out for any notifications around that in your email. Before we get started, I want to walk us through some meeting logistics. I know that all of this is familiar to you all, but I think it's always helpful to have a refresher and not make assumptions about what we may or may not remember. So just to have sort of accessible and equitable access to the information and the comments shared today, we really ask that you share your name before speaking. So just want to share that to begin today's call. This really helps to ensure that we have smooth interpretation of today's conversation. The first reminder is about renaming yourself and your screen name. We ask that you use the naming convention that you'll see highlighted in the slide deck. So that means for CSC members, we ask that you either label CSC followed by your first and last name, or R if you are a resident, followed by your first and last name. For other participants, you can do your first, last name, and then your affiliation. So whether that's the Air District or whether that's CARB, if that's P for the general public, or other organizations, follow by writing your organizational name. If you're having any issues, please feel free to reach out to anyone from the facilitation team, or the Air District team also have access to help you change your name if you are running into any complications around that. We know that sometimes you might need to join the call in more than one way, especially if you're ever having audio issues. I sure tend to have those from time to time. So if you are calling in, we ask that you please merge your audio and your video. This helps us to know who's commenting, who's raising their hand, things like that. And it really helps us to ensure smooth sort of facilitation. And you can do this by clicking on the little arrow next to the microphone and then following the prompts that it dictates for you around how to merge both the audio and in your video and your phone call. And then once again, here's the reminder about the naming convention. So for CSC members, using CSC or R for resident, and then anybody else, please note your organizational affiliation, or if you're from the public, use P. For just some reminders about virtual meeting etiquette. So we ask that you please stay on mute unless you're speaking or planning to speak. This helps to reduce audio feedback. If you are calling in, you can press *6 to mute and to unmute respectively. And then similarly, We know that there's a lot of questions or comments and enthusiasm around some of the agenda items, and to kind of facilitate the order in which we take those comments, we ask that you please raise your hand on Zoom. And so you can do this if you're calling in by pressing *9 to raise and lower your hand respectively. Otherwise, you can just kind of follow the controls that you'll see in your Zoom browser. Reminder that residents of the stipend program should stay for at least 75% of the meeting to be eligible for the stipend, so that today that's 90 minutes of our 2-hour meeting. And then a reminder again to please state your name before sharing comments to allow for smooth interpretation of our conversation. These are the group agreements that the Stockton community has agreed upon, which include to help achieve the meeting goals, to focus on solutions, opportunities, and productive dialogue, letting everybody participate. So if you tend to share more, stepping back. If you tend to hesitate to share, encouraging you to do so. Being civil and respectful. So again, it's okay to disagree, but please be respectful, empathetic, and civil. We ask that you stay on point and on time. So keeping your comments brief will allow everybody to be able to participate. And at times you may see us interject when comments may not be on point or may be kind of delaying the progress around getting to other agenda items. But in those events, you'll usually notice if there's any follow-up needed to answer your questions or anything like that, we'll make note of that. We also ask that you attack the problem, not the person. So it's completely respectable to challenge ideas or outcomes, but never attack a person, and really honor everybody's perspective, humanity, and dignity. And then finally, seeking common ground. So building consensus is a kind of key component to this process. And so we encourage you to find shared values and to help achieve the best results for our meeting today. Today's agenda, like I mentioned, has been developed with your input from our strategic planning exercise, and it includes the welcome and introductions, reviewing the action item tracker, which is the standing item that we have. We will also discuss SERP implementation, eligibility, and outreach, and then there will be some standing updates, kind of wrapping up and documenting next steps, including action items, and then we will close off with public comment. All right. So hopefully everyone's still with me after that kind of introductory set of reminders. Today we actually don't have a community co-host, but as always, if you are interested, we really encourage you to reach out to us, and we love to plan meetings with you all and engage you all in the facilitation component of this work. So if that's something that you might be interested in, please let us know through the chat or via email, or you can let the Air District know at any time that you'd like to. But with that, today I am joined here by a couple members of the Air District, but I'm going to pass it off to Jessica for welcoming remarks this evening.
Thank you, Gabby. Can you all hear me? It's been a while.
Yes.
Since one of these. Hi, everyone. It's so good to see names and some faces and connect with you all again. For those that don't know me, my name is Jessica Olson. I'm the Director of Community Strategies and Resources with the Air District. So my team oversees all of the community interactions that the Air District has, building the relationships with community members, and of course, the AB617 process. So we're just really excited, I think, to connect with you, as Gabby mentioned, on items that you're interested in talking about. So I'm looking forward to the meeting tonight, getting to hear some of your feedback, and also just sharing with you some of the things we've been up to the past couple of months. So I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday season, and definitely Happy New Year to you all. Thanks, Gabby.
Thanks, Jess. This is Gabby. So we'll actually now transition to reviewing the action items tracker, as you're all familiar with. This tracker is a tool that helps us to ensure transparency and accountability amongst ourselves as a team. The Air District continually updates this tracker to ensure that we're capturing sort of necessary next steps following the CSC meeting. And these action items also are specifically focused on implementing your suggestions and your ideas and your feedback from these meetings. As a reminder, at the end of every meeting is when we tend to share those action items. And if there's ever anything that is misaligned or anything missing, we really encourage you to let us know so that we can make sure that those are tracked. Today, Rocio will be offering those updates for you all. So please feel free to raise your hand or comment in the chat if you have any questions as you're hearing those updates, and then I'll queue up any questions or comments that come up. But with that, I'm actually going to hand it off to Rocio.
Thank you, Gabby. This is Rocio. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year's. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen to get started with the action items. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Okay, so starting off with the pending action items. The first action item was for the Air District to follow up with the CSC as opportunities for an in-person meeting this year come up. So we'll make sure to discuss those opportunities with the CSC members, hopefully in the next upcoming months. The second action item was for the Air District to follow up with more information on resources available for unhoused community to reduce air pollution in the winter months. So the Air District is looking into this request, and for now we did provide a link right here that you can go ahead and click. And this link does contain resources available to the unhoused community in Stockton. So moving on to the completed action items. The first completed action item is for the Air District to provide information on the number of schools that participate in the Healthy Air program. And so a total of 61 Stockton Unified schools in the AB617 boundary are actually enrolled in the Healthy Air Living program. Moving on to the next action item. So in the last CSC meeting, a CSC member had a few questions on the fireplace and the wood burning replacement and the residential lawn and garden program. So we went ahead and reached out to the CSC member with more information and sent them a few applications as well. And I can pause right here, Mary Elizabeth. I do see your hand is raised.
Yes, Mary Elizabeth. The Stockton Unified School District partnered with UC Merced to install at some point in the future purple air monitors at the school sites, according to the superintendent at the end of December.
Thank you for sharing that. And I see, Margot, your hand is raised as well.
Yeah, I have two questions now. Based on what Mary Elizabeth said, does that mean that if someone at the Air District can answer if that might be possible for our area? And I'll let you answer that first.
Sorry, maybe can I have you clarify your question? Which might be possible? The deployment of.
They made an agreement with the Merced Unified School District for purple air monitors.
I see what you're saying. So you're just asking if I was going to say, we do have Jermaine from Stockton Unified. Maybe Jermaine can help answer, and then I can help answer maybe and clarify some of how that works. Go ahead, Jermaine.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jermaine Reese. I'm the NG Education Specialist in Stockton Unified School District. Those purple air monitors that you were mentioning, this was a program that I've reached out to UC Merced that we were working with prior to actually house purple airs within the AB617 area. So we were trying to create a map on, I should say, like a baseline of showing of pollution and how much we will reduce our footprint. So yes, there will be purple airs actually starting from next week. There will be purple airs that will be going up at the school sites. We're going to have at each and every school sites or buildings that are being owned by Stockton Unified will have a purple air monitor up, this would also be public information that we will have for the use of the public and everyone. It will be also on the energy page also that you can go and see where the schools are located. To add towards that, we also going to put a black carbon machine, a monitoring machine within the facilities yard to measure I should say diesel exposure. We want to create and show a line also, a baseline on how much we can actually reduce our footprint by getting rid of our fuel combustion buses as we go to electric buses. Does that cover towards the purple air? Any other questions towards that?
Thank you. That was good. No, and then I do have one other question, another question on top of all that is our air person on tonight, Gabby or Jessica?
You're
Anyway,
asking.
well, okay, later on, maybe another month or so. Can those monitors if once they get on board and online, can they populate our AB617 website too?
Got it. I see your question. Yes, thank you for asking, Margot. What our monitors, so in the short term, I don't think that's the goal, but I do believe we can have a solution where at least initially we can put the link that goes directly to what Jermaine was just talking about, where you can get all of that information. The goal when we set out and created the community air monitoring plan, at least as it was developed a few years ago, was to have air monitoring units that were not sensor based. So like not purple airs, they're like the bigger, more robust, more, tend to be more accurate. And so that's why our network is just that. Because right now, even without those purple air sensors that the school district is putting up, there are several purple air sensors, in the boundary already that we're not reporting out on. But I know that there's some community members and some CBOs that work on another resource called SJV Air that I know has been pulling in a lot of the data from our sensors or from our monitors and their sensors. So what if we can note harder just to action item of like what the next step can be to make sure folks have access to all the different types of sensors that are out there, and including, what can go on our website.
Even if it's just a link.
Right, exactly.
To the data.
Right.
And so Gabby, I'm sorry, will you go back to the homeless resources? What does that one exactly say? And which number is that?
So Marco, that would be 47.6.
Okay.
And so we're currently looking into this request, but for now we just did provide a link that does share resources available for the unhoused community in Stockton.
And that link is for us. I mean, that we're not, you are not sending that. I mean, how does that get out to the community?
Correct. That's for folks to understand who work with homeless on how to support kind of folks that are unhomed. Correct. Yeah, we're not expecting folks that are experiencing homelessness to visit our page and go to that link.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Rocio, I wonder if we can drop that link in the chat so that folks are able to kind of peruse that as we go.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and drop that link after I'm done sharing the action items. Great question.
I'm just going to step in to make sure I captured the action item correctly. So Jess, you mentioned that the Air District will work to share information about the types of air monitoring sensors available within the boundary.
Yes, I think you captured, and make sure that it could be posted on the website.
I thought we were, were you, okay, I'm gonna be quiet.
Oh, no, it's okay. Did that not capture it? Sorry, Margot.
On the air monitoring or on the homeless? What are you asking about? The air monitoring, I want to capture the data that when the schools are incorporating air monitoring, how can we link to their data?
Yes, and I believe that's what,
from our website.
Yes, that is what Gabby was making sure that she captured, was that we put that on our website. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Did that answer all of your questions, Margot?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jessica and Jermaine, for providing that response. So let's go back to the completed action items.
Question. I'm sorry, I can't handle all. I'm driving. This is Everett. And the question is, and I'm probably, you probably mentioned it, but what is the purple monitor compared to the other one? I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. I can just high level. We have our air monitoring stations that we deploy have air monitoring units that are able to be compared or typically used for like really robust data analysis. They're maintained, they're calibrated. So we tend to rely and think that the data is what we call reliable, meaning we think it's pretty accurate. Purple Air sensors are sensor-based, meaning sort of people. There we go. Sorry. People used to call them or tend to call them low cost sensors. They are more accessible. They do cost a little less. They're not maybe as accurate at certain concentrations, or over time, they might not be accurate. There are a lot of folks who have the ability to calibrate and try to fine tune and make them closer to accurate based on a lot of research that's been done. But primarily when it comes to like comparing to air quality standards or making sure we have like the most accurate information, the larger units that the district deploys tends to be what we look for. But the good thing about Purple Air sensors is that because they're so accessible, you can create like a more dense network, meaning you can place a lot of them in a small space for a lot less money. So while they might not be as accurate, they can give us maybe a good just understanding or picture of what's happening with air quality. So that's why they tend to be deployed at a lot of places. And it sounds like there's a really good partnership at deploying them at all the schools. Deploying that many like air district sensors would be way, way more money. It's just like not kind of even within the same ballpark. So that's why sensors are used in that way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Everett and Jessica. Is there any more questions before I move on? Okay. And feel free to raise your hand and I can go ahead and pause. So
Can you
moving on.
expand this presentation a little bit, please?
How's that,
That's better.
Douglas?
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so the next action item was 47.3. So in the last CSC meeting, there was a few questions on the ineligible costs for the vegetative barriers and urban greening program. So right here, we did go ahead and provide the links on where you can find that. It would be in the request for proposal section under the applicant eligibility. And we did just have the links right here for both the vegetative barriers and the urban greening program. And then Mary Elizabeth, I do see your hand is raised.
Thank you. Yes, I did take a look at those links. I had some questions. We haven't had a meeting, a tree meeting for 8 months thereabouts. And I know there was some equipment in there, but when I looked at those list of eligible costs and ineligible, I was not clear at all, what specifically the air district had problems with regard to those proposals that were submitted, like I said, 8 months or thereabouts ago. So I like a meeting of the tree committee to be scheduled. Thank you.
And I'll just, yeah, if we can write that down, I'll commit to that as well. Great idea, Mary Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to the next action item, 47.4. For the air district to share if any entities are looking into a public facility for truckers to do charging. And at the moment, we are not aware of any entities developing public charging facilities for trucks in the valley, but we'll make sure to update the CSC if there are any new updates. And Debbie, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just would like to say that I think we should probably bring a little bit about that. Just to go back one, I didn't get my hand up in time, but about the vegetative barriers in the urban greening, I think we need to bring a little bit about that to the whole CSC, I mean, yes, the tree committee should have a meeting, absolutely, but I think all of us should know about what the problems were there.
Gabby, if I can, this is Jessica. I think that's a great idea. What if we kind of meet in the middle, or not even meet in the middle, but kind of go back to the original structure of the subcommittees where we do have a subcommittee meeting. I do agree with Mary in that just having a convening and talking about it. We've had a lot of emails back and forth, and then it's been some time since we've had an update. So maybe meeting with the folks that have worked on it and understand it really well because they've been a part of that subcommittee, and then reserving time to have that an update to the CSC as well. But we'll spend a lot of time on it during the subcommittee. That way we have a full hour to really dig in. Is that okay, Debbie?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great idea, Jess. Is there any more questions before I move on? Don't see any hands raised. So the final action item would be 47.7, and this was for the Air District to send an email with standing updates to the Stockton CSC for November. And there was actually no additional updates to share in the November meeting. However, in December, we did go ahead and send out an email to the CSC with updates from the Air District and partner agencies. And that is the end of the action items. I'm happy to take any more questions.
This is Gabby. Thank you for the updates, Rocio. I'm just noting there's not additional questions in the chat. If anybody else has another question or comment, happy to make space for that at this time.
This is Jessica. I'll go ahead and make a comment. Rocio, I don't know if we were going to go to that extra item, the e-bikes for the bike share stuff, but whether we go to it or not, I just wanted to note that there was an item that was brought up in June, and we did have someone call and ask about an update. It was complete at the time, but I do have the cog here. There we go. Thank you. It's the help 43.5 district to help follow up with the cog regarding electric bike racks. And so we do have Christine on the line right now, and she'll give an update as to kind of what the status is and what the next steps could be for you all to hear updates into the future.
Hi, everyone. This is Christine Tran. I'm a regional planner with the San Joaquin Council of Governments. For the bike share update, as you all know, right now we are taking a pause, and as of right now, we are regrouping for the relaunch, but there is not a timeline that I can give out yet, but I'm hoping to give another update in the next CSC meeting.
So if it all makes sense to you all, we'll just make sure on our end with the district to keep in touch. Obviously, Christine does attend all of our meetings, but to keep in touch and then work with you all to make sure we have room on an agenda in the future to bring that to light, even though it's not directly an AB617 measure. It's something separate from AB617. One of our measures is to bring forth to you similar programs or, you know, things that have overlapping goals. And this certainly is one of them. But I do see Doug's hand, so I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you for calling me. Yeah, what are deposits about? And tell me what are you looking for, and what is and what you are assessing about. Thank you.
So, as you all recall, I actually am the project manager for the car share. I can't speak too closely on the bike share, but from what I do know briefly, the pause did occur from the vandalism and the theft that was happening to the bikes that were online. But other than that, I am not too familiar as to what happened, but I'm happy to direct you if you want to talk to the project manager for the bike share.
Yes, I would like to also, did it when they did pilot, it was just to research what was the e-bike we're gonna do. When they have the problem, have they not updated their equipment? Like what I said, like if the bike has been stolen, you know, they have a tracker device or they have a program device. How many hours, how long did the bike was away from from the docks and things like that that are questionable when in the bike when it's like you said it's been stolen or whatever. Have bike have been missing part as well, or just been missing? Have they gone to another city and you have to reclaim it and bring it back, or what? What's that's my concern.
So, the situation's been a bit unique. There were some situations where the bikes were taken apart, some where it was just like the seats were like broken off and things like that, and some were completely stolen. And like you mentioned, there of course is a tracker on the bikes, but the people that did steal the bikes that we have missing, they also destroyed that too. So it did become a problem, and so we had to regroup that, and we took a pause to better implement the bike share program.
I have a question when there's you have a time.
I have a question. One more question. Okay, to curiosity, I come when you said the bike has been paused. What are they hoping to bring back the pause? If are they planning to stop, or they're planning to change the dynamic of the bike program, or what? Or how about owning the bike program and still be able to be responsible of with the communities that where the bike are specifically are in within their location? I don't know if it was by city hall or you're testing there if there's too many homeless living in that area, or they can regroup to another bike where they have to have access to the bike to gain access to come to in use. So what are they looking at, and what are the skills that they're are hoping the idea is? That's all. Thank you, and I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. So from what I understand, they are planning to remodel the program, and so they will take a different approach. I can't say exactly what it is. Like I said, I don't work closely with the bike share program, but that is the most I can give you as of right now, until they do fully launch again.
Thank you, Christine. This is Gabby. I think those updates have been really helpful, and maybe what makes most sense is as there's more updates around that, SJ Cog can share updates with the CSC during the standing updates portion of the CSC meetings around that. I did notice somebody had their hand or maybe unmuted. Was it you, Everett? Did you want to add a comment
Yes,
or question?
yes, thank you. My question was quickly is that does anyone know if that was the problem that they had on the Miracle Mile or UOP, whatever that was? They had to because we talked about that last time. They had the bikes were gone. So is that were they stolen? Were they dismantled? All that, was that the same? That the problem that they had there? That's the question I wanted.
Thanks for your question, Everett. So the problem, the vandalism and the theft did actually happen at all of the hubs that were online. And so there were different, like I mentioned, unique situations, but it did occur at least at one of each hub.
Great. Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. In the interest of time, I am going to move us along to our next agenda item. So I'm going to actually pass it off to my colleague Laura to kind of kick us off with some more information about what that will cover.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura. Nice to see you in 2024. And thank you, Gabby, Rocio, and everyone for all your questions and taking us through the action items tracker, and you as well, Jessica. Nice to have you back in 2024. Nice to see you all again. So yeah, we'll now be transitioning to the SERP implementation, eligibility, and outreach discussion agenda item, which is where we'll be spending a chunk of our time for today. And for this item, we're going to be reviewing the eligibility criteria for the passenger vehicle replacement program, as well as reviewing some updates on are receiving some updates on the commercial lawn and garden program and the fireplace and wood stove change out measure. We will wrap up this section by discussing outreach strategies for the Stockton community. So we have about 4 things to talk through today. So I know we're going to be intentional in making sure that we don't get confused within those sections. So if at any point you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and ask. And again, we do acknowledge that we've been talking a lot about various measures related to vehicles over the past couple of meetings, and we want to normalize that it's not uncommon for those to get confusing or to get mixed up in conversation. However, for today, the focus is on the passenger vehicles, and it's specifically aiming to leave you with an understanding of who is eligible to apply for this passenger vehicle replacement program and the overall eligibility criteria process. So you'll see in the PowerPoint how the AD really did a lot of homework to prep the presentation and to make this information really digestible for you all. For today, we also hope you start to think about how to do reallocation for the funding for the commercial lawn and garden measure. And again, we do acknowledge that this is a lot of information to take in, and we will try our best to be as clear and concise as possible. But if what we're trying to get across does not resonate with you all, we do encourage you to raise your Zoom hand or type in the chat if any questions do come up for you. So with that, I will pass it off to Jess.
Thank you, Laura. Hi again, everyone. This is Jessica from the Air District. I'm going to start sharing my screen, but I do have some friends here with me to help present. So I'm going to kick us off, but then I'll start passing to various folks on our team. So hopefully, can everyone see my screen that says Stockton SERP implementation updates? Excellent. All right, let me get going here. Okay. All right, so as Laura mentioned, we have 4 things that we're going to talk about today. The first, and really the one that we're going to dive deepest into, is the passenger vehicle replacement measure overview. So I'll get started there. So the passenger vehicle replacement measure is a measure for funding the replacement of passenger vehicles. So that's like residents who live within the boundary replace their older vehicles with battery electric or plug-in hybrid vehicles. So the goal is to not only help residents be sort of part of the clean air solution, but of course, clean up the air within the community. The funding allocation when we adopted the SERP is $800,000. The project plan has been approved by CARB, and I'll talk a little bit about what next steps are related to that because we're not quite ready to launch it, but we wanted to bring to you today some of the details about who is eligible. I'll just note, I do see some chats popping up, Gabby and Laura, and it's hard for me when I'm sharing my screen kind of in the configuration I'm at, so feel free to stop me at any time if there's a question. So just some of the details I wanted to provide, and we're going to go into more details in each slide. So I'm just going to give a high level, and then I'm going to pass it to my colleague. But low income qualified residents, and we'll explain exactly what that low income qualified means, that live within the AB617 boundary would get rid of their older vehicle, and we'll also explain what older means, to get funding toward a new or used vehicle. And you can see here on this chart, and we'll show it again in a little bit of a different way later, that these are the funding amounts that folks, including residents, if you're eligible under the low income qualified part, if you live in the boundary, and these are the funding amounts that you would be eligible for. So there's 4 different ways you can do this. You can either get a new vehicle that's a plug-in hybrid. That means it still uses gas to do longer trips, but you can plug it in and do short trips, like trips just around the Stockton area, just using electricity. You can also get a new fully electric vehicle. So that means there's no gas at all and it's exclusively electric. There's no additional funding for that, but you can see a new fully electric vehicle gets $20,000, and we'll explain how that works in a minute. You can also get a used vehicle. The benefit here is that used vehicles, of course, generally cost less than newer vehicles. So while you'll get a lesser amount overall, you'll probably get more towards that amount, more of the percentage off. And we'll explain in a little example what we mean. But you can, again, get a plug-in hybrid or an electric vehicle. The cool part about that, and we'll talk about it in a minute, is that it is not part of a district program, but part of an PG&E program. If you are low income qualified and get a used plug-in or electric vehicle, you could be eligible for additional funding from PG&E. So We'll talk a little bit about that, but I just want you to keep in mind that there are a lot of pathways and we're going to walk you through them. So I'm going to pass it to my colleague Akio Bastian. He is on the grants team that works on this program, and he's going to kind of walk you through how the program works and a couple of examples.
Yes, thank you very much, Jess. Greetings, everyone, and Happy New Year. My name is Akio. So for our passenger vehicle replacement program, there is some eligibility criteria, and it is based off of income as well, too. So it is serving our low-income community members. And this is an example of what the maximum amount you can make is to be eligible in our program. So if you were a household size of 1, the maximum amount you could make and within a year annually, and we determine this usually based off of the most recent tax return, is $43,740. So if you make that amount or less as an individual, you would be determined eligible for this program. Another example, though, as you see, is that household size increases, so does that maximum amount that caps you off for eligibility in this program. So if you're a household size of 4, then that maximum amount that you can make collectively on that tax return would be $90,000. For the vehicles that you are choosing to retire and replace through our program, for those to be eligible, they must be 2006 model year or older vehicle. You must also have owned the vehicle for at least 6 months with no lien holder as well on the title. This is your gross income as well, to your annual gross income. I do see that question there in the chat, based off of your eligibility for income. But back to the vehicle. No problem. Back to the vehicle. The vehicle that you are retiring and replacing must have been in use in California for the past 2 years. There's various ways you can show that it's been in use, most commonly through registration or insurance. The vehicle must also be operable at the time of the replacement. So that would be after you've been approved and are ready to purchase your new replacement vehicle. That older vehicle still needs to be working. We already went over basically that the household income it needs to be at or below 300% of the federal poverty line. That's basically what that table there on the left is showing you, breaking down for you. So the last requirement that we need for our participants or applicants in this program is that you have a valid California driver's license that's not expired. Also that you are a Valley resident as well too. And you can prove that you're a Valley resident if your address is currently on your valid California driver's license or through means of things like a utility bill. You can go ahead to the next slide though. Thank you. So the way this program works is that if you're an applicant, you would go to check your eligibility online. And you can do that with the little calculator we have on our website where you enter your address, your income, your household size. It'll calculate all that information for you and let you know whether you're eligible and what you may be eligible for as well too. You can apply online, or you can also do it at in-person events that our partners at Valley can host. We have some tune-in, tune-up repair programs that people will come to throughout the Valley. And at those programs, Valley Can representatives are there to accept documents for this program as well. And they also host other community events throughout the Valley, periodically focused more on this program. But you can apply at any time online. For our application review and approval portion of the program, Valley Can would submit your completed application to us here at the district for further review and approval. And if that application is approved, then you will receive an approval letter, and that approval letter will detail out what you are eligible for, how much the maximum amount you've been awarded through the program. And also Valley Can will provide a list of our eligible dealerships for this program. So once you get to that step there and you have your approval letter, you'll begin your shopping at one of the eligible dealerships, and then the participant will select the eligible dealership from the dealership, The dealership will then work with Valley Can, send the paperwork over for review, and they'll send that paperwork to us as well, so that we can review the eligibility of the vehicle you selected. And after we determine that the vehicle you selected is eligible, we'll go ahead and send a check over to Valley Can. Valley Can is going to go ahead and use that check during your final transaction stage with the dealership after they schedule an appointment with you. At the time of the final transaction for your replacement vehicle, you'll also bring your old vehicle you're retiring and replacing, and then you'll hand over the keys, the title as well for that older vehicle. That vehicle will stay at the dealership for a few days before one of our dismantling services comes and picks up your vehicle, and your vehicle will be crushed. So it's a pretty much
Rocio,
at that point there. Yes.
hi. There's a few questions. Would you like questions during your presentation or once you're done?
Yeah, certainly, that's fine too. We have a portion at the end, but if let's see what happens to the old vehicles. Yeah, got to that there. So yeah, the older vehicles, they get crushed. They'll be out of service completely. So that way, we're attending here at the district to replace these older vehicles with cleaner vehicles to clean up our air more. And this, like,
Akio, this is Debbie Provost. I just wanted to know how long it takes to get a letter of approval.
so great question. Right now, we're working towards trying to get the approval turned around in about a month. It could take right now between 1 to 2 months, I would say on average. However, that can change based on if there is, a sudden influx in popularity in the program that we're not expecting. There may be delays in situations like that. But right now, our current goal is about a month or within 1 to 2 months. Great question. Yes, that is how the program works there. You can go ahead to the next slide now, Jess. Thank you. And here's just an example of a participant going through our program, a participant if they were to purchase a used electric vehicle. So for this example, we have Joe, who lives in the Stockton AB617 community with her partner and 2 kids. Together, they make $88,000 a year, so that does qualify them within the eligibility table we showed previously. They want to get rid of their older 2005 Honda Civic and buy a used electric car, so they work with the district and Valley Can to apply for our replacement program. Once they are approved by the district, they go to shop at the Modesto CarMax. There, they find a used 2018 Nissan Leaf electric vehicle that costs $17,000. So since this vehicle is used, they're eligible for $12,000 towards this vehicle from the district, which is taken off the price of the car at the dealership during the transaction. And then Joe just has to pay the remaining $5,000 plus tax, title, and registration. Now, I do want to reiterate, there is that PG&E rebate that is available for our low-income qualifying participants or individuals as well. However, this is not a Valley Air District program. So if you want to find out more information on that, I do definitely encourage you to go check out the PG&E page. The link there is shared below as well too. And then their representatives can definitely assist you more with further details on that. But the rebate wouldn't come until after you purchase the replacement vehicle. You can go to the next one, please. Thank you. Now, this is an example of a participant in our program purchasing a new electric vehicle. So this participant is Cam, who lives in the Stockton AB617 community. Cam makes $43,000 a year, so he qualifies as well. He wants to get rid of their 2003 Volkswagen Beetle and buys a new electric vehicle. So they work with the district and Valley Can to apply for the program. Once they're approved by the district, they shop at Tracy Chevrolet and find a new 2023 Chevy Bolt electric vehicle for $28,000. Now, since this vehicle is new and it's electric, they're eligible for $20,000 from the district, and that amount's taken off of the price of the car during the final transaction. So Cam gets a car loan to pay the remaining $8,000 plus tax, title, and registration. And now Cam drives a brand new electric car that just cost him $8,000. Yeah, plus the tax, title, and registration. Can you go to the next one, please?
Okay, there was a quick question. So,
Yeah.
Jennifer asked, new cars have to be from approved dealerships or from anywhere?
So all of the vehicles that are selected as replacement vehicles through our program do need to be from eligible dealerships. And that list will be provided to you with the approval letter. However, you can also find that list on our website right now too. And we are working on expanding our dealership list actively as well too in the Stockton area as well. Here are some real examples of vehicles that are eligible on our program from some of our participating dealerships that are for sale right now. Over to the left, we have this 2023 Chevrolet Bolt electric vehicle. And the featured price on that there is $27,790. So that for that vehicle there, if you're getting $20,000 off of it, you're left with just short of $8,000, similar to the previous example we just showed. Then we also have this 2019 Chevrolet Bolt EV vehicle that's listed at $18,999. So if that one there, excuse me, that one there could also get you a great discount as well too. 2018 Nissan Leaf, and that one there is only $16,998. And we do see a lot of our vehicles that are eligible in our program and our participating dealerships ranging in these price ranges as well too. So this is a very realistic visual of what our participants can see. And I see some questions.
I have a question. I'm sorry I can't find the hand raise icon, but what if you don't have a car to trade in? You know what I mean? Let's say you don't have it. So what? Is that considered a major factor? Getting car trade in, or what?
Yeah, so for this program, it is strictly for vehicle replacements only. You do have to have a 2006 or older vehicle that is being replaced as well to actually receive this incentive amount.
Thank you, Douglas, for that question. And
Uh,
I believe you
I have
were
a-
reading Regina's question. We'll get to you, Everett, if that's okay, after Regina's question's
Yes,
answered.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Awesome, thank you so much. So Regina asked, does PGE give the CAM example a rebate?
So I believe the PG&E program is strictly for just used vehicles. So for Cam who purchased that new vehicle, it would not be a benefit to him.
Thank you, Akio. Everett, feel free to
My question, yes, my question is, for the new vehicles, is it just the electric or is it the hybrid too that it can be purchased brand new?
So for our initiative, for the incentives we're talking about today that are up to $20,000, that one there, it does need to be electric. You asked if it could be a hybrid as well too, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you were to select a hybrid vehicle through our program, you would be eligible for an incentive amount only up to $7,000. So there is a drastic difference.
Akio, sorry, my screen isn't loading. I believe it's 18,000 in the AB617.
For the regular, I thought you meant just the regular hybrid. I'm sorry. So if you're talking about if you're talking about a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, that is up to $18,000 if it's a new vehicle. Now, if you were to get just a hybrid vehicle, right, non-plug-in, we do accept those as replacement vehicles through our program as well, but those ones would only offer you up to $7,000.
Thank you. I was talking about the new ones. That's good. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Are there any other questions at all? Mhm.
I'm struggling. Can anyone see my share screen?
It just says
No.
I started the screen.
There and see if Rocio can you pull up the presentation and then so we can move on. But definitely while Rocio is doing that, if there's any other questions for Akio, he's also offered, we know that this is a lot of information, so he'll stay on tonight's meeting. He's not going anywhere. So if anything comes up for the end of the meeting, he'll also be here to answer your questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rocio. If we go to the next slide, I did want to let folks know kind of where we're at with this and kind of what next steps are. So just as a reminder, we do have the 800,000. I did mention that the project plan has been approved, but you heard a lot about our partners, Valley Can or Valley Clean Air Now from Akio's presentation. And those are the partners that help us implement this program. And so we are working with CARB to make sure that we can fund that partnership through some of the AB617 funding. So that is still a piece that we're working on. We don't anticipate that being a big hurdle. We just have a few weeks of working on that with CARB. And then of course, in the meantime, work to get into that contract with Valley Clean Air Now. One of our goals would be at an upcoming meeting, bring those partners to a meeting so you can all meet them and understand who's going to run this program. For those of you that have been at any Tune In, Tune Up event, it is the same partner, just working on a different piece of it. So some of you might be familiar with those folks. And then of course, we will continue to update you on the status of that moving forward so that we can actually launch the program and talk a little bit more about outreach opportunities. So with that, I'll stop and take any questions before we move on to our next piece. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Akio, and thanks for all of your great questions. We do appreciate it, and we hope that walking through examples was a nice way to understand it. It can be a little complicated when there's so many different factors that make folks eligible. And thank you so much, Rocio, for rescuing me right now. I don't know what's going on with my computer. All right, next slide, please. All right, shifting gears a little bit. And as you know, you already got spoiled. The surprise guest that we have with us today is Jermaine Reese from the Stockton Unified, because we have some really exciting updates for you all. We have been talking a lot about our lawn and garden measure over the past year with respect to residential replacement. So replacement of like a little lawnmower that you might use for your own yard. And a lot of folks, every time we talked about it, we're talking about, well, what about the commercial, the bigger pieces of equipment that are much larger and much more fitting just how large they are and for a larger area. So we've continued to talk about how we're doing outreach for our, what we call it commercial lawn and garden. So that's bigger pieces of equipment, and talk about who to partner with. And so we're so fortunate. We had $100,000 in CERT. That was sort of our goal.
Jess, this is Gabby. I'm not sure if others are experiencing this, but there's a little bit of an audio lag. So you might consider going off camera to kind of preserve the audio quality.
Will do. And I'm going to make sure other things are off. Can everyone still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
A little bit better. Okay. I'll make sure to be slow and concise. The gist of it is that we received 133 applications from Stockton Unified to this measure, which is incredible. And also to Drew in a second to talk about how we're able to
Jess, this is Gabby again. I think the audio connection is getting a little bit worse, so you might maybe consider calling in for now, and then we can kind of resume. I'm not sure if anybody else from the Air District wanted to kind of step in for a little bit, or we can also wait while she's able to call in.
Give me a second, I'll call in. And maybe I'll just pass it to Jermaine. I think folks can see the slides while Jermaine.
That's right.
Hi again, everyone. So, working with Gabi for our lawn, on commercial levels, I think this is very excited. We've been working with Valley Air to actually there is 27 schools that are located in the AB617 area. We are embarking on this mission of actually getting rid of all combustion engines actually going into the AB617 area. So starting from lawns, we do not want to have any more lawnmowers or any kind of blowers within that community that are actually going to be any kind of two-stroke engines in any way of that. We're trying to go fully electric towards that. With the help of Gabi, we've been identifying lawnmowers that we can use, and we're about to start changing that going forward in a few months to go forward. I think that's a great step, I would say, especially for the AB617 area, considering the amount of schools we have in that area. So that is to do with just the grounds alone. We're also working to make sure that there is no combustion engines of buses even going to the AB617 area anymore within the Stockton Unified District. So with the help of Valley Air also. So we're kind of working together on all these things to see what is the best way that we can actually reduce the admissions towards that community. We're also going to work on the air filtration with Valley Air also, so that our kids can have better air within the classrooms whilst they're spending those hours at our schools also too. So those are some of the things that we're actually working on at the present moment towards those schools that are located within the AB617 area, which is a very tall deal. As you guys know, there might not be enough funds to do everything that we're embarking to do, but however, we are embarking on it as little as we can towards the big picture so that we can actually come a time when you guys can actually come out there and visit and see that there is no more combustion engines using in those schools to clean them for lawnmowers or driving towards those schools going forward in the future. Any questions to me?
Can you all hear me? I called in on my phone.
This is Gabby. Yes, we can hear you, Jess. And Jermaine, I'm not seeing any comments so far in the chat. Oh, I do see Douglas has their hand raised.
Thank you, Gabby. I have a question regarding your commercial lawn. You said that it's well up. I'm more concerned of the feature of the lawn. Does the lawn have like where I know when I had the lawn before, I had to literally have to use my body to push the motor to cut the grass. Now I'm older. I don't have that much strength to push the lawn when I'm pushing the grass. Do they have a built-in roller where I could just easily push the knob and then the lawn will go by itself as I'm walking instead of pushing it? Did they have that type of feature, or that is it the same ordinary basic lawn, electrical lawn, where you just have to push to cut the grass?
Maybe I can help answer a little bit. So what we're talking about here, and stop me if I'm cutting out at any point. We're talking about here, these could be anything from like ride-on lawnmowers, like big lawnmowers for big pieces of lawn. So not necessarily pushing anything. So there shouldn't be too much in the way of using them. Douglas, if you're talking about the ones that we give to residents, they are all powered. So you wouldn't, I mean, not that I shouldn't, I'm certain that even if I went out and mowed a lawn with one of these lighter weight kind of newer things, it might be still a little bit physically difficult. But I think they're, just a little bit newer and nicer than kind of your older traditional heavier pieces of lawn equipment. But what we're talking about here, and I don't know, Jermaine, if you have some indication of the types of equipment, but generally when it comes to lawnmowers for commercial, we're talking about really large lawnmowers potentially that folks are riding on.
We are
Okay.
talking.
I'm sorry. Forgive me. I didn't see that commercial lawn. Okay. But okay. Now let me. Okay. To clarify a little more, the commercial lawn. Did it have? How big is it? Is it gonna be like 1,000 per square footage of lawn? Are you talking about farming thing? Are you talking about commercial lawn where you go out in to the city or? Because I have seen backyard that have houses that have lawn that's really big. Are you talking about golfing? Things like that. That yeah, the commercial lawn are fitted to work for that particular industrial.
Yes,
I'm
Right.
done.
Douglas.
Yeah. So
Yes, Douglas.
go
We
ahead,
are
Jermaine.
talking about the large ride-on lawnmowers. So that would be the lawnmowers that you would see on golf course and football fields and stuff like that. That would be eligible to mow our fields and stuff like that and to do work. So those are large ones. And to answer your question before, the push lawnmowers now are just equivalent is the same way as the new as the gas powered ones, whereby there is a throttle there that they can actually roll. You do have to walk behind them, but it wouldn't be that physical strength of you actually having to push them if you do get one for your home also too. But we're not using so much of those because considering that just the AB617, as I was mentioning, we have 27 sites to actually maintain and clean on a daily basis. We do need the big lawnmowers to actually make sure that the ride-on lawnmowers, that those schools are actually being taken care of in a proper way and blow in a proper way also, so that our students and the community can have a chance to come and see our facilities that are being upkeep in that way. So we're being more commercial in that way. So this is industrial. I think it would be nice for us at Stockton also to actually show us that one of the largest districts, and so that we do have so many schools located in the AB617 area. It would be nice to show that how we're working with the Valley area. How is it that we can actually make that change by not having that footprint anymore within a community who does not need any more combustion engines working in that community also.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I do want to elevate a question that was in the chat for folks who may not be able to have access to that. So there was a question, can residents still apply for the lawnmower replacement? And Jess answered, yes, this is separate. So I wanted to elevate that really quickly. But are there any other questions for Jermaine or Jess? Anything else you'd like to add?
All I'll add is that the reason, in addition to just transparency and celebration of progress, we also bring this to your attention because we do have an opportunity, though we understand this is your first you're hearing about it. So we understand if you want more time, but we do have an opportunity to continue to support the remaining 81 applications and support that sort of this vision that Jermaine has for the boundary and for kind of all of the school areas within it. So Rocio, if you can just go to the next slide. We'll propose, but again, this is the first you're hearing about it, so we titled this slide to discuss in February if you all want to take a moment. But of course, if you want to move forward right now, we can as well. But the opportunities for funding reallocation. So just as a brief reminder, we did have over 2.5 million available from a measure that was also to support schools, but then we did not move forward for various reasons that the committee and the district agreed upon. And so we do have funding available, and a small portion of the 2 million could be reallocated should the committee want to support additional funding to be moved into this measure, and would be able to cover the rest of the applications that that Stockton Unified has applied for. So we want to just put that on your radar, and then we'll come back in February to have more kind of a final decision point if folks are open to it. And that's why we kind of wanted to tee it up today and bring Jermaine to answer any questions you had about the use of the equipment.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
My question is will they be having any of the events that will do the bring your lawnmower and have the lawnmower already there, already be registered and everything together?
Yes, this is separate. So that's a great point. And actually, I think to Laura's point at the beginning of the meeting, I think we'll all be more intentional about separating kind of different measures. And so we don't get confused. This is for commercial. So things that would be public spaces like a school district or like a municipality like the city. What you're talking about, Everett, we 100% are moving forward on that. That is separate. And we did already move funding for that. You all agreed on helping us kind of support and to have an event where folks can exchange their lawnmowers. So we're still working on that. And we do have just a little bit more work to do with the folks that would come and bring the lawnmowers. And we'll definitely make sure to have a more robust update to you all soon. Margot.
So far as the commercial lawnmowers,
sorry,
what are we actually looking for? People to trade their lawnmowers in for their companies or private companies that do landscaping and gardening. Is that what we're looking
Correct.
for? Okay, all
more
right,
like company, exactly. So it's more like companies that do like multiple. So it's not just like your traditional lawnmower. It's like if you have a business or you are an entity that has lots of space and you use these large pieces of equipment. It is separate from the free lawnmower program that is for residents. Go ahead, Margot.
Yeah, I'd just like to say how excited I am that we're focused a little bit on schools right here, because getting that that exhaust out of that area with the children was kind of what we were talking about all that first and second year. So I'm glad you all designed this opportunity, and thank you. That's all.
If I may add, when we start purchasing these equipments, this is going to be open for the public also, so you guys could actually get the opportunity to see where these machines are actually working, what we're taking this money to buy into. We did some study about it, and I like that you did mention that. I was showing my guys who are actually just blowing the regular blowers at the school site. If they blow for 2 hours, they're actually making pollution as driving a diesel vehicle from Stockton to Monterey by just blowing for 2 hours. So when you think about that, admissions at 27 schools and having more than 27 blowers out there a day blowing to clean up, what is the admissions we're actually putting into the air? This is where the purple layers and everything come in, that we can show how much we're actually decreasing on our PM.2s in our atmosphere and doing better for our kids at the same time. So we're helping the workers, the community, the teachers, and everyone together at one walk. And we will have an event coming up on our day where you will be invited. It will be known, so you'll get the opportunity to come and see the equipments. You'll be able to come and see them at the schools. They will be on the website and the energy page so that you guys can see how they're working and things that are going on. And any other questions come up in the future, feel free to reach out to Jessica. I'm sure I'll be on more meetings and I'll be willing to answer anything that you guys need towards that.
very much. Appreciate everything.
I think there was
Great.
another question from Margot.
No, I took my hand down, I think.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all. And like I said, we just want to be transparent and have the discussion ahead of time. And thanks so much, Jermaine, for being here. And we're so excited. I know lots of folks are excited for your partnership and just to see all of the great, vision that you have. So thanks so much. All right. So next slide, please. I am going to, from here, pass it on to, I think, to Cass, right? Cassandra Melching, who's in our Outreach and Communications Department, to talk a little bit about our recent outreach efforts.
Hi, thanks, Steph. So this is Cassandra. So yes, we've been busy the past couple of months with lots of events. We've had about 5 events in the past since the last time that we've met, where we were able to engage with residents and folks within the AB617 community and pass out bilingual information, letting them know about the change out program that's available. We've done this through schools. We've done this at outreach events. And we've even had a couple of schools that have bundled this information and sent it out in emails to the parents. So we were super thankful for that. So yeah, all in all, super excited. We've also, I know this is a fireplace and wood stove change out conversation, but also talking about air purifiers with all the events that we have attended. Within Stockton, we've roughly given out about 260 units for in-person events. And then we have another one slated for tomorrow as well, where we're looking to do about 50 units. So super excited for, all the things that have been happening and that are coming down the pipeline. And so again, it's, we appreciate your guys' input. And if you know of any other events that are coming that will be within the area, please let us know and we will see what we can do to attend those events and, distribute out these units.
Thank you, Cassandra. I do see Jermaine's hand is up.
Okay.
Yes. Is it possible that we can kind of work together off of this and maybe visit more of the AB617 schools? Because I have been giving out your flyers for Valier about air purifiers that we could continue doing this. And if you can actually put me on your calendar that you can come out for our day that where we have the whole community out also that you can actually share out more air filters and stuff, just for the AB617 area also too.
Yeah. Hi, this is Cassandra. Thank you so much for that. Yes, I will definitely reach out. We have had so far good conversations with some of the schools within Stockton Unified that do fall within the boundary. And it's been such a great turnout, and we would like to continue to foster that relationship and grow it and be able to attend other school sites. So yes,
Yes.
most definitely.
I would love to build it for you as much as possible. So just reach out so I could give the okay on going forward.
Perfect.
Is that for the other schools too, the magnets and the other charter schools too in this area?
So this is Cassandra. So yes, so far we've had great connections with KIPP Stockton Charter Schools, and then a handful of schools within Stockton Unified that fall within the boundary.
Great.
Are there any other questions?
Cass, can I have Rocio go back? There was one slide. I just wanted to make sure that folks were understanding kind of the other types of media outreach that we do. I think you talked a lot about in-person. Can you just explain a little bit of like our media outreach?
Sure. Actually, media outreach, I'll pass this off to you, Heather.
I would be happy to chat. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all this evening. Happy New Year. This is Heather. So one of the awesome things we've done working on our change out to advertising is investigate sort of different emerging trends in social media environment. One of those trends we have been using is the instant experience. If you happen to see either of these two images on your social media feed, then you are potentially being presented with that advertisement as well. But we're doing additional, besides just your standard commercial that might show up on TV during the evening. We have a grantee commercial that we run that's a couple from the Valley that replaced their fireplace. You could see that like in regular TV, or you could be online and see an instant experience ad like what's on your screen. We also use search engine marketing, and what that does is essentially it's a data metric that figures out people that are searching about burning wood and people that are searching about fireplaces or staying warm, and we target keywords. And then when they're back in their online searches or they're out in the internet, it presents them an ad. It knows they searched those functions, and it knows they're interested in wood burning potentially, and it serves them up our program. So we have spent quite a bit more time trying to get in front of the eyeballs and specifically the older home areas in the valley where we know that these wood burning units exist. Did that, sorry if that was what you asked?
Yep. Much needed.
Thank you. Yeah, there we go. Cool.
Awesome. Well, with that, Laura, I'll pass it back to you. That concludes our actual presentation, and I know our team would be happy to answer any remaining questions.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. Are there any other questions that we may have missed during this action item or this agenda item? I apologize.
I don't have a question, but I did want to mention one thing about the passenger vehicle replacement program that I believe I forgot to mention. All the vehicles that are eligible for as a replacement vehicle that you purchase, they must be 2017 model year or newer as well too. That is one other important thing I forgot to mention.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Akio. And with that, I think we're okay to transition to standing updates.
Thank you, Laura. This is Gabby. I'm gonna kind of transition us to the standing updates piece, and we'll start by receiving some updates from some of the present agencies, starting with CARB. If Kyle or some other representative is present today and you have any updates that you'd like to share.
Hi, this is Cynthia Ortiz. I'm stepping in for Kyle today. Nice to meet you all. Happy New Year. But I have no updates at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Are there any lingering questions for CARB that the CSC has at this time? I will also be passing it to the Air District for any just general updates that you have as well.
We don't have any additional updates. What I will say is one of the follow-ups that I just noted based on Akio's additional information is we, and with some great input from Carter, we'll make sure that we have a community-specific sort of fact sheet so folks can understand some of the nuances of what we talked about today with regards to passenger vehicle replacement. So just know that that's something that we'll get to you all, so you don't have to go dig through slides or presentations to understand things.
Thank you, Jess. Are there other, I know that some of the subcommittees haven't met for a while, but if any of the subcommittees or, yeah, anybody from those subcommittees have updates at this time, we can also take those. All right.
In absence of any, but I'll just mention again, Gabby, in preparation for today's meeting, we did note that it has been a while for several subcommittees. I think we noted today that the tree subcommittee is owed a meeting. We also have some updates and some progress we'd like to make in the trucks subcommittee, but we'll also just reach out to everyone who's sort of helped co-lead any of the subcommittees and start to get those back on the calendar. So I just want to let you know that's our goal for the next few weeks.
Thank you, Jess. And if there are any other agencies present that have updates at this time, I'm just going to briefly pause and make space for you to share. I don't believe that we do. To conclude this section, I did want to share a brief facilitation update, but I see Aiko, you unmuted. So if there was something you wanted to add, please feel free to jump in.
Yeah, Douglas has his hand raised, but I think he was having trouble with the hand raise feature. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for flagging that. Douglas, yeah, feel free to share.
Thank Matt. Yes, I want to follow up with our last year discussion where we were supposed to meet in person and discuss about the poundage truck and the truck electrical. I think that was the thing that we were supposed to talk about this committee in this meeting regarding that. just to see if we so we could be more educated the difference between why this one is more money than this smaller one or whatever. And we need to be educated those type of vehicle that we were supposed to discuss in person and at the community once of this year. So I don't know if any of you guys have thought of it or anything like that, but it kept in my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. I see Jessica, you might have some insight into that.
Thank you, Douglas. I do kind of, when we were talking about subcommittees, I think that's one of them. So we have some time to dig in and answer and kind of regroup where we're at with the truck questions. So that's one part. The second part is we were hoping tonight to work with the port, but for family emergency reasons, Jeff was unable to make it tonight, but to hear some details on the truck reroute. So that's another different piece of truck. So I just wanted to let folks know if that was something that you were hoping for tonight. That is why we did have to remove it from the agenda. And the third thing I'll say with regards to in-person is we are hoping to have in-person, as Rocio mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. We're looking at sometime we're thinking at the April meeting, but we're going to confirm and look into that. So hopefully in the next few months, we have an in-person meeting. And to your point, Doug, I think having a deep dive into a really important thing like trucks would be a great topic there, but we'll continue to talk about that over the next few weeks.
Thank you, Jess. This is Gabby. Doug, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much. I just want to follow up with that. So yeah, and that was my bigger concern because it was just kind of tough and just got a little frustrating for not just me but other people that I was hearing as far as why is the cost and what is the difference between cost and how can we had a hard time approving it. So we instead of get better informed, I think we get better, get on the ball and approve the cost of those agenda. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your feedback, Douglas. Margot, yeah, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, based on Doug's question, I think before Christmas I'd mentioned that quite a few organizations in town had been working on the warehousing issue in Stockton, which brings in 2,000 diesel trucks a day every time one of those projects is built. Or, they vary. That was an estimate. And the developers push back very, very hard. And one of the issues is infrastructure. And I wonder if I don't know if AB617 can approach this, or if the Air District can look into this, but encouraging one of those large infrastructure groups like, what's it called? Ed, what's it called? Where they have big charging stations, like a big gas station. Do you know?
Right off the bat, I'm not sure.
EV Watt. I think they were going in and here and there and everywhere. And I'm wondering if somehow we can reach out to that group and see if they might consider Stockton as an area. Just food for thought. So keep that as part of the conversation when we talk about trucks. Okay.
Margaret, we do have some electric yard goat manufacturers in the Stockton area that are building the yard goat trucks electrically. So just for your info.
Yeah, and the Port of Stockton is going to host another drive event early this year sometime.
Great. Yeah, thank you both for those comments. And then I see your hand is raised, and I'm assuming it's tied to the comment in the chat asking about, so Regina had asked about the EV, can the remaining balance after the rebate be financed? So I'll let you answer that.
Yep, that is correct. That was always raising my hand to answer. So that is very common for our participants. Yes, the remaining balance can be financed, and the annual percentage rating cannot exceed 15.99% in our program.
Thank you for answering that.
Of course.
Any other comments or questions?
Do you have any other companies that equip the buyer that in like a car dealership that would send you in GMC or somebody else that could help you purchase the rest of that vehicle?
Sorry, so you're asking if there's any other companies that can help purchase the vehicle? Are you asking like outside of our eligible dealership list?
No, your dealership itself, the ones that you have. Do they can they supply you with the loan itself? That you finish up the acquisition of the car.
Yeah, that's all up to the dealership there. However, the remainder of the funds is paid out. We don't have any restriction on that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Everett, for the question, and thanks, Aiko, for offering those answers. So we have one more kind of facilitation update to share. And this is some news I wanted to share with you all, kind of bittersweet news from me, that I'll be transitioning from my role at Harder & Company. So this will be my last CSC meeting with you all. And I just wanted to take some time to express my gratitude to all of you in the Stockton community for being so welcoming to me as a facilitator. And I want to commend all of you for the amazing work that you've done and that you'll continue to do to support environmental justice in your community. I've really enjoyed being a part of this process, and I'm sure our paths will cross in the future. I just want to assure you that I'm leaving you with an incredible team of facilitators, including Lauda and Amy, who have been supporting the facilitation in Stockton for the past 2 years. So I can assure you that they'll continue to offer support to each and every one of you, and they'll be an integral part of this work. But yeah, just want to thank you all so much for letting me be a part of this journey over the past 2+ years. It's been really great to learn more about your community and you all, and I've really enjoyed it all. So thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. I think I know from the district perspective, you have just been such a partner. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you all for all of the warm comments. It all means a lot to me. Thank you. All right. So there's no easy way to transition from that, but I will do my best to kind of move us along toward the wrap up and next steps part of today's agenda. And so, yeah, just want to thank you all for being so engaged in this conversation, all the questions that you asked. I think it's helping to develop smooth processes for how these programs are implemented, and also hopefully strengthening your ability to talk about these programs in your community as well. So yeah, super great to see all of the excitement around these SERP measures. So I want to wrap us up by reviewing some of the action items that we captured, and please feel free to raise your hand and ask any questions that you have, if anything doesn't make sense, or yeah, anything that is confusing about what we've tracked so far. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then I will zoom in so that you can see it a little bit better. So the first action item we tracked is that the Air District will make sure that community members have access to different types of air monitoring sensors available within the boundary, including links to important websites with more information. The Air District will also set a tree subcommittee meeting in the following month, and then kind of provide updates to the community during February's CSC meeting. Another action item is that Cassandra and Jermaine will connect around outreach strategies, particularly with schools. And then finally, the Air District is going to develop a community fact sheet with regards to passenger vehicle replacement information. So that'll be something that will be an available resource to all of you. Are there any questions about the action items that we've documented today? Anything missing or anything that needs clarification? All right. And so our next agenda setting meeting, so as you can see here, says to be determined. So kind of the agreed upon, the agreement between the group is that due to the strategic planning exercise, agenda setting meetings are postponed unless the CSC feels they're helpful or necessary prior to the next CSC meeting. So if that is the case and you'd like for there to be an agenda setting meeting, please feel free to reach out to the Air District so that that gets coordinated. But for now, there's not an agenda setting meeting on the calendar. And then the next CSC meeting will be Wednesday, February 7th at 5 p.m. So that's same Zoom link, and that will be the first Wednesday of the month. So we hope to see you there. And then again, if you're interested in being a co-host for that meeting, please let us know. I'm seeing there's a comment, possibly question from Douglas.
Yeah, my understanding is that this month we're gonna still have subcommittee, or we're gonna wait until we get the email that for each of the month. That's my understanding.
Hi, Doug. This is Gabby. Your audio was cutting off a little bit, but I think
Hello?
your question was if there would be subcommittee meetings this upcoming month. And I'll let Jess speak to that. So we were just talking about the agenda setting meeting, but I'll let her speak to the subcommittees.
Thank you, Gabby. This is Jess. Yes, we are hoping to start. We do not have any subcommittee meetings that I'm aware of that are on the schedule, but we are hoping to start scheduling them soon. And I'm seeing confirmation from Rocio. We will start scheduling, especially the high priority ones that were mentioned today. But there's nothing upcoming on the schedule. Look out for an email from us and you'll start seeing those calendar invites.
I've got a question.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doug.
And
Everett, please. Yeah, go for it.
My question is I know we have the agenda setting meetings and we have other things that we can do, but I'm seeing that we're getting more information and we're getting a lot of different things happening. Can we think about having a informational meeting that we can fill people in and they can understand what everybody's talking about? Because a lot of us just don't know. We're trying to play catch up and we're getting farther and farther behind. And that's just a question from me.
This is Jess. When you say informational meeting, you mean maybe like taking a step back and kind of reviewing higher level things, Everett, rather than like digging deep into information? I just want to make sure I understand, because I think where you're going is a great idea. I just want to make sure I understand.
Yes, the projects and the certs and things that we have that have been already implemented and stuff that we're having a backlash, that we can come up and understand that when we're talking to somebody, I'm talking about the residents, and when we're talking to somebody, we know what we're talking about, and we can again that because they're going to ask me, have you got your lawnmower yet? Have you got your? How does this work? How does that work? And we need more people to follow through, not just send them paperwork. And because everybody doesn't do the paperwork, everybody don't do the phones and all these computers. I don't. So I'm just saying, the more information we have, the more better we can implement what we're doing as far as the residents and help you and help each other. There you go.
Thank you, Everett. I think where you're going with this, I really want to connect with our outreach team. I know we've been doing a lot of in-person events, but maybe like specifically we host, because we've been like glomming onto all of your great events, all of you in the community. Maybe we can host sort of like a town hall or like a come sign up for things event where you come in person and learn. I'm seeing nods from Heather.
Thanks, Jess.
Maybe something like that.
I was going to jump in. We definitely, even in the outreach subcommittee, have talked about this. We know that sort of last year we're waiting for project plans and pieces of all of our work to fall into place. Now I absolutely think we have arrived at a point where we can host something like a town hall where we invite the change out program vendors. We promote it ahead of time and potentially trade out lawnmowers, and people come and do that on that day. Maybe they come get air purifiers. Maybe they come test drive an electric vehicle. Like, I don't want to bite all of it off at once, but I do think there are pieces that we can coordinate and would like to. That's definitely in the next 12 months of our look in the outreach side, as far as connecting all the pieces that we've now finally got in play to the hands of the community. So yeah, love the idea.
Awesome. Jermaine, before I let you kind of dive in, I just want to clarify, is that something that makes sense to document as an action item? Okay. And then, yeah, Jermaine, go ahead.
Going to add to that, since that you're doing outreach, this is where we kind of have to work together. I think more correspond a lot, because we could definitely use a school within the AB617 area to do something like that also.
Looking at you. Yes, thank you. That's absolutely what we'll need. We need space.
we need to build that that more of district and community together, because all these kids are living within that community. So I think this is where we need to work together as a team. We're coming out with it's the same solutions we're trying on both sides here. So I think that's something we could put together, and we could use a school. And what we can do, I would even add and say we could do it as a continuation, something whereby we don't always have to be at one site. We could decide that quarterly which one of the sites that we're going to choose within the AB617, and we could know every 3 months we kind of hold that event in that kind of way, like within that whole community, and get a chance to touch the whole of the AB617 in that way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I've talked to my president of my labor union a couple of times too about using the facility for a change out. We have a school there and a campus for construction and all that, and the trucks can come in for as far as the lawnmowers and distributing, or other types of. It's big enough to do what's need to be done there too, at that facility off in South Cherokee, next to the old Highway Patrol office.
Thank you all. Yeah, these are great ideas. So finally, to wrap us up, we kind of want to open it up to public comment period, inviting any members from the public that are in attendance to make comments. As you all know, these comments are really important to the process, making sure that the program is being shaped by the community's perspective as well. So if you'd like to make a comment, please raise your hand on Zoom and let us know, or let us know via the chat. And then while that is happening, I'm going to check to see if there are any comments on the YouTube Live. Not seeing any comments on there, but yeah, if anybody has any other comments they'd like to share.
I just wanted to say thank you for all that you've done for us, and how you facilitated and helped us in maintaining a good meeting every time. And congratulations, and wherever you go, don't forget us. Party time, we did a party. No. And then the other thing is, what young lady that I can't think of her name. What does she have, a boy or girl? All right. And then we have the Martin Luther King Assembly on the 14th and the 15th in Stockton, California at this year. This is New Year, this year. And we're looking for everyone to come out and be a part of it. We're going to have a tremendous time. All right.
Thank you, Everett. Thanks for those announcements too.
Wait, we have to answer Everett's question.
Thank you.
I was waiting for other public comments, but sure. I had a girl. This is my second girl. So this is Eleanor, is the big 3-year-old, and then this is Penelope.
All right.
We call her Poppy or PJ.
All right. Congratulations. All right.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, Everett. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. You'll see her one day. Eleanor's made her way to several, AB617 events around the valley. So. Well,
I just want to echo everyone's just thanks and appreciation for Gabby. Oh, sorry, Lily, I don't want to take away from comments. So I'll just keep her there. Gabby has just been such a great mentor to the district behind the scenes as well. And I just want to thank you so much, Gabby, for all of the work that you've done for us. We wish you well, and we're going to hold you to it that our paths continue to cross in the work that you're doing. So we can't wait to see what you're up to.
Thank you, Jess. And yeah, Lily, feel free to chime in.
Oh, I appreciate the time in the space. I normally am a wallflower at these meetings, but I was inspired by you, Jess, and Margot's question way back when about the warehouses. So it got my mind, churning as I work for the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment, supporting CARB on the 617 program statewide. And so some of these things really do resonate in my mind a lot, but finding a way to describe it with the connections of different communities is kind of like where this has gotten more impactful to me over the years as I've been listening to Stockton for about 2 years plus now. So echo to support your name choice in Penelope, Jessica, because my daughter's named Penelope too, so totally resonate with that. My point about the warehousing, though, is that is a problem that I noticed statewide, and so if there's any kind of a subcommittee or way that I could bridge some of that to have some, hopefully, like state level addressing of these environmental impacts that feed into cumulative impacts. That's where my work in trying to unpack some of these systems and some of these compartments of air pollution with environmental, soil and water and all of the other media that we experience in our communities really does get difficult and challenging. But if there's any more examples in the state that I can help uplift, that is where I'm trying to bridge some of those connections. So fully willing and wanting to be invited to some subcommittee meetings if you think it's appropriate. So that was my plug for wanting to be included. Thank you.
Lily, can you put your email in the chat? This is Margot talking. And I wonder, does your office write letters on environmental impact reports?
Hard to get my office to do that for Ms. Margaret Gordon in West Oakland. A month or two ago, she had asked to have a letter sent by the state on behalf of trying not to have the Port of Oakland expand and dredged out. And I saw, the bigger picture of we have many ports in our state and how that would be very impactful down the line about more pollution from cargo ships and trucks and all of the downstream effects, in addition to sea level rise and water systems being perturbed. So short answer is my office said no. Long answer is I'm still working on a way to make this a bigger systems kind of thing to address so that cumulative impacts don't get worse. So I would love to partner if you have other ideas on how to approach this.
Thank you. And
Thank
since
you.
there's a few more minutes, this is Margot again. I just want to say that the Port of Stockton is looking at another project. And I just want to keep our group involved since that's in the heart of the AB617 area. It's a wood pellet project, bringing tons of wood pellets from Shasta and Tuolumne or Lassen and Tuolumne areas. Ours is the only port that is thinking of it. Richmond turned it down because of the additional pollution. So just something we're watching very, very closely. Thank you.
Thank you for noting that, Margot. Doug, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I have a comment. Yeah, I also wanted to let Jessica know that right now I've been hearing a lot on TV to watch out for the weather. And I want to know, have air quality has been watching over the quality of air, whether it's pollution, rain, dust, or fog, or smog, whatever may be going on this past week that has been going on to watch the weather. So have having any negative effect by that or anything like that? That's my comment. And hopefully I'll see you I'll see you next month then. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Douglas. I'll just, I think it's always a good reminder of where you can find like hour by hour resources. So Rocio, can you drop in the link to the air monitoring page just so that folks can see for themselves how the past few days have been? In general, when it is really, really rainy, not like just a little sprinkle, but really rainy, and you kind of get like a big movement of clouds and the dust is settled, and there's, maybe even a big, what we call like weather changing pattern, the air quality tends to be good. And so you might have noticed if you checked your air quality, it tends to be good. Now that can change at night. That's when kind of that, air quality settles in. It's a little more stagnant at night. Unfortunately, some folks, whether they're, in a particular area where they are still burning wood, if the air quality is good, you might still see that. So there might be kind of deteriorating effects. But for the most part, when it's like really, really rainy, you'd expect pretty good air quality. But it can kind of change, week by week or day by day. It's hard to just say, oh, this is the weather, this is the air quality. That's really why it's important to just check on the app or on the website what the air quality is. I think that's just the easiest way to know rather than just link it to the weather.
Thank you, Jess. Not seeing any more comments, so I will go ahead and kind of wrap us up for today. Hope everyone has a great rest of their evening, and yeah, hope the new year is treating everybody well. Thank you so much for joining tonight's meeting.
Thank you all. Good luck, Gabby.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.